And Richie and Adrian follow this stuff and follow it closely like I do and follow that world of music. It isn't a huge surprise at all. To people who maybe don't follow along that closely, it was. And Richie and Adrian live near each other in Southern California and are friends. And, you know, that them getting together and jamming has evolved into original music. And at least for now, this single that was released the other day. Look, I'm a huge Maiden fan. I love Adrian. I love Adrian's melodic sensibilities that he brings to Maiden, stuff like Wasted Years and all of that. I know Adrian. He's a great player. He's a great guy. I've had Adrian on this show for other side projects over the decades he's done. He has done a few things outside of Maiden over the years. And, you know, anybody that knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Richie's and we are good friends. So I knew this was coming down the pike for a while. And they wanted to keep it a secret until they released it, and now they have released it. So check it out. It's out there. Alex has a little bit of it. We'll hear going into the break, but the song has been released. And Adrian, you know, I was just in touch with Richie this morning, but Adrian is scheduled to come on. I don't know if they'll come on together because Adrian's really more promoting his book, which has nothing to do with Richie, obviously. So we'll have Adrian hopefully by the end of the year, if not in early January, to talk about his book and also talk about this collaboration with Richie Kotzen. And look, for those that don't know who Richie is, because there are people that don't, he is, in my opinion, an absolute brilliant musician who is incredibly prolific, does a lot of different styles of rock music, and is not only a virtuoso guitar player, but also an incredible singer. And on most of his records, his solo records, plays every instrument, writes every song, does everything himself. And Richie was also in Mr. Big for a couple records, did a record with Poison, and most recently, the Winery Dogs, a band I connected him with. So Richie doing stuff with Adrian Smith, very cool. Excited to see where this leads. That one song is out there right now. The other thing that I want to comment on, which I saw over the weekend, and it completely floored me, was that Jason Becker has released a video from back in 1996 of Eddie Van Halen visiting him. Now, to give you the backstory on this, in case you don't know who Jason Becker is, because, again, not a household name, but Jason Becker, also a virtuoso guitar player who originally did a pairing, a guitar shred record with Marty Friedman called Cacophony. And then Marty Friedman got the gig in Megadeth, and Jason Becker got the gig with David Lee Roth. It's Jason Becker who plays guitar on the David Lee Roth record, A Little Ain't Enough. And during the time of the recording of that record was when Jason Becker was diagnosed with ALS. And he was given, at that time, something like around, and this would have been early, mid-90s, Jason was given at that time 4 to 5 years to live. He never got to go play on tour for that record with David Lee Roth because the effects of ALS began to overtake him while they were wrapping recording of it. So he's on that record, but he didn't do live shows. And it's just an unbelievably tragic story, but what's remarkable about the story is that Jason Becker is still alive. About 20 years plus past when he was not expected to be, as he has absolutely, incredibly bravely battled ALS. And if you want to see an unbelievable documentary about Jason's story, and this doc probably came out 7-8 years ago, maybe longer. There is a documentary on his story called Not Dead Yet, Ain't Dead. It's called Not Dead Yet. Jason Becker, Not Dead Yet. And it just shows the unbelievable support he has had from the musician community and from family and friends that have supported him and helped him in every way possible. At this point, Jason Becker is only able to move his eyes, and he still creates music. He put out a record a year or two through a computer with just using eye movement to trigger what he wanted to play. It's incredible. It's incredible. And as technology advances, Jason continues to hang in there. I've communicated with him via email. When we were doing that metal show, we had him on, which in all honesty was very challenging because he had to speak through a computer and there was a huge delay, but it was something that I felt was important to get his story out there at the time that documentary was done. And Jason is still being creative and still finding a way to battle that horrendous disease. So that's Jason Becker's story if you're not aware of it. He is a very respected musician. When he was able to play, he was a very celebrated guitarist. Interestingly, Kotzen came up with him and Marty in that same whole movement, Shrapnel, Mike Varney years of releasing records. So Richie was a big part of that, along with Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, and many of the guys that were part of that whole scene in the mid-'80s. Of that shred instrumental guitar thing. All this to say, over the weekend, and if you have not seen this, it's on YouTube, Jason Becker released a video that he had never released before of Eddie Van Halen coming to his house in Northern California in 1996 to visit him for a fundraiser to help with ALS support and to meet with Jason Becker, who at that point was in a wheelchair and had just gotten a tracheotomy, making it impossible for him to speak. And that happened back in 96. So the timing of it was just at the point where Jason really started to get worse with the effects of ALS. But Eddie Van Halen went to his house and met with him and visited him and played guitar for him, gave him a guitar, signed it to him, showed such unbelievable empathy, love, and support for this guy. It is incredibly moving. If you have not seen this video, find it on YouTube. Jason posted it in the last few days. It's incredible. Not only is it incredible to consider that video is almost 25 years old, and consider that Jason is still alive and still battling, and was able to release that video for the public to see now that Eddie Van Halen has passed away. And so you take that into account when you watch it, and then on the other side of the ledger, you think, it's just stunning to think Eddie Van Halen's gone. And the compassion that he shows for this guy in this video is incredible. And it really is an amazing testament to the person Eddie Van Halen was. In addition to the fact that you get to see him sitting there playing some guitar, which is, cool. He's just noodling around and messing around and talking to Jason as he's doing it, which is incredible. But just the compassion and love and support he showed for Jason Becker. To things, when you find out people did things like that at the time were not publicized. And, just what an incredible class act and human being Eddie Van Halen was to do that at that time. It's just incredible. And think about this. And this was not something I don't think a lot of people picked up on when this was making the rounds online. Think about this. Jason Becker was David Lee Roth's guitar player. So Eddie Van Halen was going there, and who knows if he has a connection, if that played any role in it or anything. I mean, Roth, my understanding is when Jason was ill and started showing the signs of this when they were recording A Little Ain't Enough, Jason went on, and I don't know how much communication, if any, he continued to have with David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth went and got Joe Holmes and went out and did the tour.